gratitude and positivity was not part of my life. You know, I grew up poor, first in Russia, then immigrated to Canada, living with, you know, my parents divorced, single mother, 2 kids, very difficult childhood, not the typical childhood one would have. And so going from a place where there's challenges, you know, poverty, there's victimhood, feeling sorry for myself and thinking like the world's unfair. How come others are rich and I'm poor and I have poor parents? Why poor me? But that didn't solve anything. But the moment I actually started seeing what abundance do I have in my life, even when I'm poor, all of a sudden, the whole reality began to change. And as I say, you know, what you appreciate appreciates more.
Yeah, I like that.
And it goes both ways,
Yeah.
right? If you're putting attention, you're appreciating the good, you'll see more good. If you're appreciating, you're focusing on more of the bad, you're going to appreciate that. That's going to escalate. That's going to grow more. And that is really how the reality exists. And that's the thing with, you know, the difficulty with our worlds, because we've evolved to have a negative bias because it's survival. So a lot of the news and everything people focus on is typically the bad.
Yeah.
And what happens if you focus on the bad, you'll get more of it. That's why they say, you know, when you're, say, skiing or snowboarding down the mountain, look towards where you want to go. If you're going to be looking at a tree, you're going to hit a tree.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
So you want to look towards, you know, the pathway that you want to go down to.
Yeah. I feel like, okay, so you talk about the childhood and I think we all have a lot of these experiences, right? Almost none of us had the perfect life. And when you're in that, you can start to choose to become grateful for the small things. How's that process been? Because I feel like in the beginning, it can almost feel like you're pretending, or it's like in the head, but it's not embodied. You shared a little bit like it's more about the emotion maybe than like the goal or the words. Can you break it down more? Like, how does that process look like?
Yeah, it's a good follow-up, because at the beginning, it can feel forced. It can feel like this is too good to be true. It's too simple. And for me, the reason I tried it out, it was like, hey, what do I have to lose? My life is already so bad. You know, like it's not going to get worse by me trying to do this gratitude thing. And so even myself, how I first implemented it, and I was coming out of like a very dark place where, you know, my father was just diagnosed with cancer and then he shortly passed away. At the same time, I was going through physio. I broke my left hand and then I had nerve damage, and they said I'm not going to be able to move my left fingers, hand at all. And I'm 18 years old.
Oh.
And obviously no girlfriend, not really a lot of friends. I got involved, you know, with some crime before. So it was just bad things happening in my life. And out of this dark place, I was like, okay, I've heard Tony Robbins, and that's how I came across that work of somebody speaking about what I'm speaking about now, which is, hey, every morning when you wake up, the first thought in your mind should be, what are you appreciating? What are you grateful for? And I'm like, okay, really? Like, I have nothing to appreciate. My life sucks. But then I'm like, hey, what do I have to lose? Let's try this out as an experiment. And I would do this daily. I would just, when I would wake up, I would try to think of one thing that I'm grateful for. And if I would forget, I'll try to remember it usually when I go to the shower. And still to this day, when I go into my shower in the morning, it's my anchor where I remember just be like, I'm grateful for my health, for my body, that I'm moving, that I'm alive, that I'm awake. What a gift.
Yeah.
And that is, with time, they say, you know, compounding is one of like eighth wonder of the world. And it's not just money that can compound, it's also your thoughts. And again, like I said, good or bad. So I just started compounding appreciation and gratitude daily, to the point one day after this practice, I truly started seeing opportunities in the world. And I started actually feeling inside of, huh, like I'm actually seeing the light. It's no longer just dark. And that's the beautiful thing about, the 5 minute journal and that tool that we've created, is that that's what people who practice it, let's say who complete the full 5 minute journal and practice it for, you know, every day for 6 months. After that 6 months, I pretty much promise and guarantee you, you will see the world in a different way,
Yeah.
because you're really retraining your brain and your mind to be able to see different pathways in the world.